What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and when it comes to ranked play, close games can be some of the most frustrating, but also some of the most rewarding experiences, all depending on how they turn out. Let's get started. Now, the thing to understand about close games is that any significant advantage is absolutely huge. Even just one kill creates so much more pressure in the later phases of the game, since it's so much easier to capitalize on objectives, since at this point in the game it takes just a few seconds for any team to take a major objective. Not to mention that a clean ace for either side would result in a push to kill the Nexus almost guaranteed, or at least multiple inhibitors. So what it all comes down to is finding that significant advantage, and the best way this is done is through creating picks. In close games, any sort of pick is absolutely huge, since it gives you that necessary significant advantage that can be easily used to push for major objectives. And the biggest tip I have for creating picks is that you want to execute them very quickly when the opportunity arises. Most chances for picks are very short, as players overextend just a little bit, then notice their poor positioning and back off. If you can capitalize on that small window by not hesitating, it's easy to make that pick happen. Flashing in is often a great way to create picks, since it's something that people don't really expect. And the distance you can cover when you flash in is just absurd. Just hit your crowd control and unload your burst onto the opponents. There's not much to it once you've seen the opportunity and taken it. And of course, be careful trying to pick tanky targets, since it does take a long time to kill them and can often result in an unwanted fight instead of a pick. Now the thing is that in close games, avoiding picks is just as important. Picks really are just the key when it comes to close games, as everything else is just kind of the same. Teamfights play out in a similar way, sieges play out in a similar way. One of the only differences in a close game is the value of a pick. Apart from paying attention to your positioning, a key tactic to avoiding picks is simply to expect them. Respect your opponent's power, as picks can happen very quickly without warning and decide a game. So be ready for people to flash in onto you, and don't put yourself in a position where a pick is remotely possible without good reason. One thing I find that helps avoid picks is to avoid insignificant advantages. As mentioned, when it comes to close games, a significant advantage such as a pick goes a huge way. However, advantages such as stealing a buff or taking a dragon are really not as useful, since those kinds of advantages are used to snowball with the gold lead that they generate. But in a close game that is in the late game, snowballing is no longer a thing. People are starting to finish up their builds, and overall there just isn't time to try to create a snowball. I've seen so many games be decided because people risked an unnecessary dragon or blue buff invade. The truth is that those objectives simply just aren't worth nearly as much as the game goes on. So when it comes to those kinds of things, yes, it does mean that they aren't completely useless, but be very careful with them. And I would advise to only go for them if they are absolutely free. And definitely be careful when contesting them, and only do so with your whole team. And even then it's not a very good idea, since it does leave you open in other areas on the map. In addition, in the late game, an alternative to picks is to simply take advantages when there is an uneven situation. Split pushes are very risky, since it's so easy to start a fight 5v4 in the late game, and take advantage of that player being absent in an area. Team-wide positioning is key, and it's easy to take advantage when a player is out of position. For example, if someone on the opponents is pushing bottom, we can use that opportunity to counter push top as 5. Since it's a 4v5, a tower dive is not only possible, but likely very easy, since it's so far into the game. So be careful when you stray from your team, as often going down to clear that wave is not really worth it. Since remember, in the late game, snowballing is no longer a factor. When someone goes away from their team, it's practically like they were picked off, simply because they aren't there, which in the end is really what matters, not the gold from the pick. So take advantage of those uneven situations. So once you've found a way to gain a man advantage, you want to use that advantage to gain other objectives, push towers as a group of 5, perhaps bait a Baron fight without starting it to start a 4v5 fight, or if your team is tanky enough, you can just force a push by tower diving. Use that advantage to make plays, since it will definitely be a lot easier and the advantage does not last forever. And above all else, in teamfights, make sure that you are really trying to protect your AD carry. Unless you can set up a flank, diving in for the opponent's AD carry is going to be difficult, since you can easily get kited and killed, since AD carries will do so much damage at this point and be so powerful. Teamfights often come down simply to just whose tanks die first, as once your tanks are dead, the whole team is so vulnerable. So if you just kite for your carries, you should be able to kill the tanks fairly easily, and then you can just push on to the rest of the team. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on how to win close games. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now. I'd love if you could support me with a like, and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.